What's up, YouTube? It's Darren, the Bowtie Fragrance Guy. We talk about fragrances and fashion on this channel. So if you love looking good and smelling great, consider, if you will, subscribing to the channel, and also make sure you hit the bell icon as well. So that way when I upload new content on YouTube, you get notified. Guys, on today's video, I'm going to be kind of giving my first impressions on the newly released fragrance from the house of Giorgio Armani, which is Acqua Di Gio, the Eau de Parfum concentration. Now, the original Acqua Di Gio, which was released in the year of 1996, is, been one of the most iconic fragrances that's ever been, honestly, that's been created. I remember my high school and college days, that was probably the #1 fragrance out on the market at the time. Everybody had to have a bottle of Acqua Di Gio. Now, fast forward here almost 26 years later, and we now have the newly released Acqua Di Gio in the EDP concentration. Now, in between that time frame, as you guys, of course, are well aware, we've had several flankers, Profondo, Profondo Lights, Profumo, Essenza, which has been discontinued, kind of, hint. And we also have, what was it, Absolute, and Absolute Instinct, I think may have been the other one. I don't know if I missed any or not, but the point is there's been a lot of other flankers that have come out since the release of the original. So now we're going to be digging into the EDP concentration of this iconic fragrance. So guys, if you want to see what's on the list, you know the routine, man. Keep it locked right here. Let's get it.
Bowtie Fragrance Guy.
All right, guys, we're back. Thank you so much for keeping it locked in. Let's go ahead and jump into the video. So the presentation on this fragrance, the box is very, very plain. It's a white box with a little bit of kind of texture to it. And it says Acqua Di Gio, Giorgio Armani EDP. Hopefully you guys can see that pretty good. Nothing really going on with the box. You have the Giorgio Armani, I guess that's the logo at the top. All of the information, of course, on the side and the back as far as ingredients and stuff like that. But again, nothing really spectacular on the presentation as far as the box is concerned. And you open the box up, and get the bottle. Here is the presentation. So here's the presentation. Very transparent bottle, glass bottle. It says Acqua Di Gio, Giorgio Armani in black letters on the front with a nice black wooden cap. Again, very simplistic presentation with the bottle, just like the box. Now I'm gonna go ahead and spray this on my skin. I did wear this fragrance yesterday, but I'm gonna spray it on my skin so I can kind of talk about the opening of the fragrance. And again, just kind of go through my kind of initial impressions, wearing this fragrance. So what I'm getting from the fragrance in the opening of the fragrance, so they list C notes as a note in green mandarin. So I'm definitely getting that kind of nice green fruitiness that's coming from the green mandarin. Now they don't list grapefruit as a note, but I'm definitely picking up something that's very reminiscent of grapefruit on my skin. And the reason I know that is because it's very reminiscent to the grapefruit that I smell in Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Sun. I think that one was released maybe 2-3 years ago. And that kind of tart grapefruit that you get in Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Sun, I pick up some of that here. So although they don't list grapefruit as a note, I'm kind of picking up some grapefruit in this fragrance as well. Now, guys, I want to say this. I do really feel like most fragrance companies, when they give you a note breakdown, they don't give you the full note breakdown. C notes, that's kind of misleading. That could be a lot of things. But there is an aquatic vibe to this fragrance in the opening, obviously. So not quite sure what those C notes are, but they do give this kind of aquatic vibe. And, of course, you get the mandarin. And I'm picking up something that's very, very reminiscent to a kind of slightly tart grapefruit note as well in the opening. Now this fragrance starts, I did wear this fragrance yesterday, so as it starts to kind of transition from the opening of the fragrance on down to the mid, I do start to pick up that lavender. They say mineral notes are listed as a note here, mineral notes, vetiver patchouli. It does get a little bit more of an earthiness, but that aquatic nature of this fragrance kind of stays around throughout the duration of it. And again, that you really start to pick up a heavy dose of lavender as you transition from the opening to the heart of this fragrance. And like I said, on the dry down, you get a slight bit of earthiness with the lavender and that aquatic vibe, whatever the C notes are that are in this fragrance. Those also, as I said again, kind of maintain throughout the duration of the fragrance. Just kind of my initial impressions and what I picked up, on this fragrance when I wore it yesterday, and giving you guys kind of a quick kind of overview of what you can kind of expect with this if you decide to pick it up. Now, as far as performance, I will say this is an EDP concentration. It did perform what I would say well. I got about between 7.5 hours of performance. It did project pretty good for me, and it's an EDP, but it did project pretty good that first 2 hours. Started to sit closer to the skin, but I could still pick it up. Even at that 3-4 hour mark, I didn't have to dig into my skin to smell it. I could kind of smell it from about this length right here, and to me, that's always a good thing, especially at the 3-4 hour mark. And like I said, as far as overall longevity, it lasted about between that 7.5 hour time frame. So that was really, really good. Performance on this one, I would say, is good. Now, the cost of this fragrance. This one was a 2.5 ounce bottle. I think it was retail for $107. Macy's, I got it from Macy's. There was 15% off, so I think it was like 80 something bucks, or low 90s. I don't quite remember, but the retail price is $107 for a 2.5 ounce. I think it does come in a larger size as well. But again, this is all my bottles are this size, so I like to keep things a certain way as far as the appearance and the presentation. So what I want to say about this really quick is this, guys. Does this smell good? Yeah, it's pleasant. It does smell a lot like Acqua Di Gio Essenza. Okay, which Essenza has hints of the original Acqua Di Gio in it as well. Okay, but it smells a lot like Acqua Di Gio Essenza. As a matter of fact, if you guys have ever seen the bottle, if you kind of replace the color of the writing on the front and put that silver cap on the top, it's really almost kind of the same presentation. So I almost feel like this is kind of a re-release of Acqua Di Gio Essenza, which may not be a bad thing because a lot of people wanted to get their hands on that fragrance, and unfortunately, it's been discontinued. And when you do find it on, discounted sites or maybe places like eBay, people are really trying to charge an arm and a leg for it. And I always say, save your arm, save your leg. But to me, that's kind of sort of what this fragrance is. Now, how do I feel about that? Well, this is how I feel about that. The original Acqua Di Gio, 1996, and again, since then, and I don't even have them all. I know there's at least one more. There may be even another one. All the flankers of Acqua Di Gio. Profondo, Profumo, which is still my personal favorite. Absolute, Profondo Lights. And all of these fragrances kind of share, for the most part, with the exception of Profumo and Absolute. Those two are a little bit, I would say, are more varied away or straight away from the original DNA the most, to me. Although Profumo also has it in there, but they just got that incense and patchouli, so that gives it a different kind of unique character. And this one is a little bit more on the sweet side, playful side, which is a good thing because it's different. But here's my thing. And this is not just with this fragrance release. This is designer fragrance releases in general. As a fragrance collector, as a fragrance connoisseur, I'm wanting something different now. All right? And again, guys, that's not to say anything bad about this fragrance. It does smell good. But the average Joe that goes into a store to buy a fragrance, honestly, most of them probably aren't going to really know the difference between the EDT and this one, because the scent profiles aren't vastly different, where they would say, oh, well, one is the EDT, one is the EDP. And that's just kind of being honest about it. There's a little bit of, I can pick up a little bit of similarities to Profondo in there, a little bit of similarities to Profondo Lights. So what I'm saying is, a lot of the releases over the past 2 or 3 years have been just flankers. We haven't really gotten anything different. You know, I would even just like a different name. This should have been maybe Giorgio Armani by the Sea. I don't know. It's just something different in a different bottle, in a different presentation. Something to kind of get folks excited. Now, I know as a collector, and especially as a reviewer, most people are going to pick this up because the original was so iconic, and this is the EDP version of that fragrance. So for a collector, I get it and the whole nine, but if you're a person that's just looking for something unique and something different, it's not really going to be this. And again, that's not saying anything bad about the fragrance per se, because it does smell good. I don't think it's, at the end of the day, for what you're getting is overpriced. If you're a person that doesn't have some of these other ones, you know, it smells good. You're probably going to like it. It smells great. But for a connoisseur that's looking for, wanting something different now, you know, then that's where, you know, we kind of missed the mark with this one. Because again, if you look at the other releases from the line, a lot of companies are just doing the same thing. They're just putting out flankers on top of flankers. So this is almost to me like starting to be like what Dolce & Gabbana is doing with the light blue collection, which there's a new one out with that now. They do a new one every summer, a summer edition of that fragrance. And again, it's just, for me, I want something different, something totally different. So from that standpoint, you know, not just talking about this fragrance, but designer fragrances in general, I'm a little bit disappointed, but the fragrance does smell good at the end of the day. So guys, to put a bow on this thing, at the end of the day, Acqua Di Gio, the new EDP concentration, it smells great. It's very, very similar to Acqua Di Gio Essenza, which was released in 2012 and now discontinued. Like I said, I can kind of pick up hints of other Acqua Di Gio fragrance releases in this one, including of course, the original on down to Profondo and Profondo Lights. Some slight, you know, similarities there as well. And like I said, at the end of the day, it smells great. But if you're looking for something that's just kind of new, inventive, creative, and different, this is really not probably going to move you that much. But ultimately, it does smell really good. I want to come back and do a full review once I've had time to spend even more time with this fragrance. I'll come back and do a full review and an update for you guys. But as of today, man, that's my time. I just wanted to kind of give you my initial reactions, my initial impressions on this fragrance. As always, I appreciate your time and attention to these videos. You don't have to watch what you're doing. I sincerely appreciate that. Don't forget to make sure you take a few moments to go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you are sharing these videos out to some other folks that you think could use this information or may find it entertaining. Because I'm your guy, Darren, the Bowtie Fragrance Guy. I love to look good, and of course, I love to smell amazing. So until next time, guys, keep looking good. Keep smelling even better. I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.